I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will be like the Most High. And then look at verse 16. If this is Lucifer in his angelic form and his rebelliousness in heaven, then tell me, what do you do with verse 16? Verse 16 says, those who see you after he's captured will gaze at you and consider you, saying, is this the what? The man who made the earth tremble. Earth to America. This is not talking about just the devil and his rebelliousness. This is talking about the antichrist himself. Reading this as a Muslim is much more shocking than it is for you as a Westerner. Because as a Muslim, I came from the alien world. I feel like Captain Spock. I know how the aliens think, but I'm coming here to tell all the Captain Kirks what is the problem, that they don't understand this manuscript, and those parts of the manuscript is regarding us, the aliens. So Captain Spock to Captain Kirk, open your ears. Is this the man who made the earth tremble? It's speaking of the Antichrist. But as a Muslim, we believe that the spirit of the Mahdi, when he comes to usher in those 7 years in which the end will be the destruction of all the Jews, in that spirit, what we believed is that this is Muhammad coming back again. Because Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, he says the Mahdi will come. He will have my spirit. It's the same person. I know most Westerners think, when they think of this thing called Mahdi, they think of Ahmadinejad coming to the United Nations. Ahmadinejad spoke at the United Nations, and he was talking about the ushering of the Mahdi. This is not theory anymore. They're talking about this stuff. And you might think, well, this is the 12th Imam thing. Most Americans ask me these questions all the time. What is this 12th Imam thing? Forget the 12th Imam thing. There's different schools of thoughts regarding the Mahdi within Shia. But let me tell you something. Every Shia and every Sunni in the world believes in the coming of the Mahdi. The belief in the coming of the Islamic Mahdi is as the belief for a Christian as the coming again of Jesus Christ. So, can you tell me how many Christians claim to be Christians don't believe in Jesus coming again? All Muslims across the board. In fact, sometimes I take a few Captain Kirks with me and show them the reality. One time I spoke at a church, and I went to this coffee shop, and there was a rabbi and a pastor. It was an Israeli event thing, you know. And they were talking to me, and they said, you know, we've been coming to this coffee shop all our life. The owner is a Palestinian, Arabs, and they were just so wonderful to us. They're so nice, and we had never had a problem. So the waiter comes, he's from the Middle East, and I began to talk to him in Arabic. I said, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. I said, okay. I began to gossip about these two Captain Kirks sitting at the table. I said, what do you think? You know, I've never seen something like this. I mean, a rabbi with a priest. Can you believe that? What do you think of those two guys? When you speak in Arabic, you'll get the truth. Forget what they say in English. Rule number one. You got to get what they say in the Arabic. I said, what do you think? The Prophet Muhammad says that the day of judgment is going to come, and they're going to kill the Jews and cut their heads off and this and this and that. What do you think of these guys? He says, yes, we will cut their heads off, but we have to wait for the coming of the Mahdi. What did he say? He said, what he said basically is that enjoy the services here. We have hamburgers, French fries, cheeseburgers, steaks. You're not on the menu yet. Even the most moderate of all Muslims. I was sharing a platform with Mr. Woolsey, ex-CIA, just the other day. And they're always looking for this moderate Muslim. Everybody's looking to find a moderate Muslim. In search of the moderate Muslim. This is a book I should even write. I had debates with moderate Muslims galore. I was at a synagogue. on Yom Kippur, Judah Jasser. He is a prominent doctor who speaks as a moderate Muslim. And I remember he finished his speech, nice speech, Mr. Jasser. Took him aside, began to talk to him a little bit. I says, Mr. Jasser, did the Prophet of Islam kill the Jews in Saudi Arabia? Now, remember, every question I ask is a Jesus-style question. You're in checkmate. If I ask you today questions, realize ahead of time you're in checkmate. You can't answer the question. I learned that from Jesus. And you ought to learn it too. It's a very good habit. Did Muhammad kill the Jews of Saudi Arabia? If he says no, then he's no longer a Muslim because he denied what Muhammad did. He denies the hadith. He denies the annals and the writings of the Islam and the Quran and the hadith. He's no longer a Muslim. Of course, he had to say yes. Question number 2. How do you justify it? How do you justify it? He says, well, we all know they had a fair trial. I said, how interesting. How interesting. Europe came to confess that the Jews had no fair trial. Everybody in the world began to confess that Israel had no fair trial except the Muslim world, even a moderate Muslim. The lie number 1 is that there is something called moderate Islam. It doesn't exist. Mr. Woolsey of the CIA, just last week, he says, well, about Qabbani, another name he throws in, Qabbani. Qabbani, he's a very moderate Muslim. I said, no, okay, I'll send you some stuff. Qabbani wrote a book on the Islamic eschatology. Qabbani talked about how we're going to usher in a khilafah, which means the vicar of Muhammad on earth. Qabbani wrote about Armageddon. Qabbani wrote about the coming Mahdi. But the Qabbani, who basically criticizes the terrorists in America, it's because they criticize them because they should not do anything now. They have to wait till the ushering of the Mahdi. So there is these 2 schools of thought. Some say Osama bin Laden is good. Some say Osama bin Laden is bad because Osama bin Laden should wait for the coming of the Mahdi. So when the Mahdi comes, guess what? All your so-called moderate Muslims are no longer moderate. Good luck. Is that who you want to stand with? Is that your hope? Is it moderate Islam? There is no such thing as moderate Islam. But why is there moderate Islam? Why is there this whole hoopla and talk about moderate Islam and Islamic democracy and what have you? Well, you have to look at the Bible. Because I'm not interested here to come to you today and talk about Islam or bash Muslims. I'm here today to talk about what the Bible says regarding Islam. Nobody talks about the subject. Everybody talks about terrorism, they talk about it in generic form. Secular speeches, secular books. You go to the bookstore, you buy secular books on Islam and what have you. But there has not been any books written regarding what the Bible says regarding Islam, this whole concept of the Mahdi, the antichrist, and how to witness to Muslims from a biblical perspective. So I began to work very hard. I began to write how Muslims become Christians. If I sit down with Brother Kamal and we talk about the Bible, we talk about the Bible a little different than you.